So this man represents himself in court and goes to prison, while Pill Cosby gets out of prison because he lets an actual attorney represent him. Hey guys, my name's Jason Wesley, and this is not a podcast. So this first story is wild. Ronnie O'Neal III was accused of murdering his girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, and their 9-year-old daughter, and the attempted murder of his 8-year-old son. Now, in his opening statement, he sounds like Ilhan Omar's tweet from last month, where she was equating the US and Israel to the Taliban and Hamas, actual terrorist groups. We must have the same level of accountability and justice for all victims of crimes against humanity. We've seen the unthinkable atrocities committed by the US, Hamas, Israel, Afghanistan, and the Taliban. Now listen to Ronnie O'Neal III's opening statement.
The evidence is going to show that we are under some of the most vicious, lying, fabricating, fictitious government you've ever seen. By the time it's all said and done, you will see who is the mass murderers in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida. You will know why what occurred on March 18, 2018 occurred. And the evidence is going to show that law enforcement tampered with evidence to meet their such high burden of proof. Anything that I may have said, they exacerbated it and made me say it consecutively over and over like Allahu Akbar, which I may have said once or twice, but they wanted to make me seem like a terrorist because I can guarantee you the evidence is going to show you we are under the most corrupt administration you've ever seen in your life. I guarantee you I wouldn't waste your time. I would have already took a plea deal of some kind if I knew I did something like this, because most people don't even go to trial when they know they've killed somebody. The evidence is going to show you who the killers are, but they tampered with that video because they didn't want you to know the truth. And it might sound far-fetched, but I guarantee you, we're going to see who the liars are before it's all said and done. Mark my words, because my family lives were taken.
Wait, what? So the government did this? This man must have thought he was representing Dr. Martin Luther King. The state can provide you representation if you cannot afford it. This man was like, nah, I'm good, I got this. How did you prepare for this? He must have watched Shawshank Redemption before the trial, but the Family Guy version.
Do you believe in your best judgment that you have been rehabilitated?
Rehabilitated? It's just a stupid made-up word. So boys like you can sit behind a desk, wear a fancy suit, and feel important. You're a jerk. And I had sex with your mother last night. And I swear to God, you let me out of here, first thing I'm gonna do is kill again.
This dude watched Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men to prep for this trial.
That's what you told Lieutenant Kendrick to do.
Object!
And when it went bad, you cut these guys loose!
Your Honor!
You had
Counsel,
markets inside a phony transport!
Your Honor!
You doctored the logbook!
Damn it, Cappy!
You coerced the doctor!
Consider yourself in contempt!
Colonel Jessup! Did you order the code red?
This man probably thought because his hair looked like Kodak Black that former President Trump was going to give him a pardon like he did Kodak Black.
Kodak Black was also granted a clemency by President Trump. The television rapper was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison after pleading guilty on federal weapon charges, per NBC News. But the White House noted that the entertainer's, quote, numerous philanthropic efforts, such as providing educational resources to students and families of fallen law enforcement officers and the underprivileged.
Now, he claimed that his girlfriend killed their daughter and stabbed his son, but then his son, now 11 years old, testifies. Listen to this.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom, and mom screaming at him.
And your father had a shotgun. What happened next? What did he do?
My mom ran in my sister's room My mom ran in my sister's room and into the closet. And then my dad said, come here and come kill the B-word.
Did you hear any shots from the shotgun before that?
Yes.
How many times?
One.
Was there a time when your mother was able to get out of the closet?
She was like stumbling outside, and then I just saw my dad chase her.
What do you remember happening next?
My dad told me to walk around and say like some words.
And do you remember what words your father told you to say?
Allah Akbar.
Allahu Akbar?
Yes.
I'm gonna leave that one alone, kind of like the mainstream media did, but I will drop this dime for you.
New evidence shows that there may have been tension over his efforts to convert the family to Islam.
So then he ends up cross-examining his own son, which kudos to the bravery of his son, who's now 11 years old, to testify against his own father at that young age. But his son said this.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Did you see me shoot your mom?
No.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
Man, you lose. Like, what'd you expect him to say? Nah, Dad, I'm just kidding. You didn't do nothing to me. You stabbed your own son. And what did I do to hurt you? You stabbed me. Come on, man. And even after all of his ranting in the courtroom, they eventually found him guilty.
We, the jury, find as follows as the count one of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. The defendant did actually possess and discharge a firearm causing death. We, the jury, find as follows as the count two of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder, premeditated murder, and felony murder. We, the jury, find as follows the count five of the charge. The defendant is guilty of aggravated child abuse as charged. We, the jury, find as follows the count six of the charge. The defendant is guilty of aggravated child abuse as charged. We, the jury, find as follows the count seven of the charge. The defendant is guilty of resisting an officer without violence as charged. So say we all dated this 21st day of June 2021.
Then in his closing arguments, he starts swearing. Now at the top of this, I want you to look at the judge's face.
And like I told you earlier, you will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one. Better believe it. 'Cause if you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
All right, Mr. O'Neill, please stop using swearing language. It's not appropriate in a closing argument.
And I'm not sure what he was trying to do in his closing arguments, but he literally admits to killing Kenyatta.
I did kill Kenyatta Barron. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it.
But all's not lost in his world, because before he left, he made sure that he sent a note to his next victim or lover, who knows.
He also held up the love you sign right after to a woman sitting in the audience.
But while Ronnie is going to jail, Pill Cosby is being released from jail after serving almost 3 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence. Now, here's what happened.
It only means that that first DA made a critical mistake in agreeing not to prosecute Cosby, and it's only fair that Cosby shouldn't be prosecuted when they told him they weren't going to do it.
Legal expert Paige Pate explains, in a split judgment, the court ruled that Cosby's due process rights were violated when he was charged and convicted. Cosby had previously made an agreement with prosecutors that he could not be charged in the very case that landed him in prison.
There is effectively no other appeal. I believe he was released from prison today, and he's not going back, at least not in Pennsylvania.
The Federalist has a good piece about this as well. The trial court then sentenced Cosby to a term of 3 to 10 years in prison, and Cosby was denied bail pending appeal. He began serving that sentence in September 2018, but was released yesterday following a Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision overturning his conviction. The 4-justice majority concluded that while Castor had not provided Cosby immunity from prosecution, the state had violated Cosby's due process rights by charging him after the original district attorney committed not to prosecute Cosby in order to force him to testify in Constand's civil case. The court held that In light of these circumstances, the subsequent decision by successor DAs to prosecute Cosby violated Cosby's due process rights. No other conclusion comports with the principles of due process and fundamental fairness to which all aspects of our criminal justice system must adhere. Now, if you remember Felicia Rashad, aka Mrs. Huxtable, she celebrated Bill Cosby's release on Wednesday after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his 2018 sexual assault conviction. She tweeted, "A terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected." And Janet Hubert, the original mom on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
I got the label, you just trying to take a black man down, because that's what we do. No one defends black women. And the press is guilty as well. Everybody loves a witch. Everybody loves a and everybody loves, and especially black women, and especially dark-skinned black women. I always thought that if I were a lighter-skinned woman, they would have been nicer. Even my own community might have been nicer if I were a yellow woman, or I passed the paper bag.
The sad commentary.
Attacked Felicia by tweeting, "Felicia, what are you thinking? I don't know you, but to say this was terribly wrong. Everyone knew what he was doing back then. How could you not? Get your umbrella, sister. Here comes the shit shower. I am outraged that he has been released. Yes, he is an old ass guilty man. I would have said he's old, he's out, and I'm happy for him, but he's still guilty. I know 5 women who have not come forward. Enough, y'all. We know better. Powerful men do wrong things, black or white." And then, of course, Felicia tweeted an apology. "I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. Personally, I know from friends and family that such abuse has lifelong residual effects. My heartfelt wish is for healing." And then, of course, Howard University had to put out a statement. While Dean Rashad has acknowledged in her follow-up tweet that victims must be heard and believed, her initial tweet lacked sensitivity towards survivors of sexual assault. Personal positions of university leadership do not reflect Howard University's policies. We will continue to advocate for survivors fully and support their right to be heard. Now, whether you believe Cosby is guilty or not, or whether you support him or not, doesn't change the fact that this was about due process for all. That's what this decision was about, and we all deserve that under the Constitution in the United States. Now, some people supported her, calling out the hypocrisy of her haters, saying, not the same people who were watching Soulja Boy and Bow Wow on the Verses suddenly caring about survivors, to which someone responded, "They trying to get Felicia Rashad fired and waiting on Nicki Minaj's next album at the same time." Now, is anybody tired of the gossip yet? She said this, he said that person should be fired, that person needs to get this, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has something to say, and it's just an opinion. Do you remember the saying about opinions? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink.
Will you be my alibi?